How do you know the beauty products you buy online aren't going to harm you? The scary and quite real answer nowadays is that most of the time you don't. Fake beauty products have been around for a very, very long time, but what's worrying is that they aren't just something you see on shady websites anymore, like Temu or Wish. They are becoming part of the mainstream. And it's not just places like TikTok Shop, eBay, Vinted, either, where most people know there's a good chance that what they're buying is a knockoff. Fake beauty products are also becoming scarily common on the biggest retail website in the world, Amazon. Amazon has become one of the most popular places where people buy skincare and other beauty products these days, and anything else you fucking need. In fact, reports in recent years have shown that Amazon is the leading online retailer for beauty products in the US, as well as taking the top spot in 8 out of 10 largest European markets. This dominance means that for a huge percentage of beauty consumers, Amazon is now the go-to place for beauty. I've never felt comfortable buying beauty off Amazon ever. I think I bought a hair product from there once and some hairspray. So it's not surprising that more big beauty brands are taking notice and starting to sell their products on Amazon. Even the traditionally more prestigious brands that would never dreamt of selling on there just a few years ago are showing up there now. But it also means that if you're the kind of person selling fake versions of luxury beauty products, then Amazon is the new place to do so. Today, I want to talk about what areas of beauty this is affecting the most, how these counterfeiters are getting away with it, and what you can do to avoid being caught in all of this. Let's start with one of the areas of beauty that's been hit the hardest, and that's KBeauty. To be clear, brands from all over the world are being affected by this, but KBeauty seems to be particularly vulnerable to counterfeiters for a few different reasons. First of all, there's just the fact that KBeauty is still incredibly popular at the moment, and arguably just becoming more popular every single year. Korean products seem to make up a large proportion of the trending products you see online these days, especially on platforms like TikTok. There is constantly at least one, if not multiple, K-beauty products going viral on social media at any given point. Their cosmetic exports are reported to have reached 11.4 billion in 2025, and that's predicted to increase to 21 billion by 2030. So there is clearly a huge demand for K-beauty products right now. And of course, where there's demand like that, counterfeiters see an opportunity to make a lot of money. Obviously, there are all the completely fake K-beauty brands we see these days, you know, the ones that claim to be Korean or heavily implied that they are, but they're actually manufactured in China and actual Koreans have never heard of them. But every time a real K-beauty product goes viral, we see a fresh wave of knockoffs flooding social media and online retailers. Cosrx, Beauty with Joseon, Round Lab, Anua, these are those kind of brands that are somewhat Korean but made for a Western audience, but are now becoming popular in Korea. So they are truly global, and they are going so viral on social media in recent years, and all of them have had to deal with a ridiculous amount of fake products out there pretending to be their own. And it helps that product margins on fake versions of these kind of products are so high. K-beauty's popularity and prestige means that people are often willing to pay a premium for Korean brands. Still affordable, but a little bit more. There are a lot of affordable K-beauty brands out there at the moment, but there are also plenty that sit in that more kind of like luxury beauty space. This means that counterfeiters can avoid all the research and development costs, all the marketing costs, undercut the legitimate brands, and still make a huge amount of profit. Another issue is that a lot of consumers outside of Korea have never actually seen the original packaging in person. So when it arrives, they have no idea if it's a fake or not. This is because K-beauty's rise across the world has mostly been driven by social media and influencer marketing, rather than by brands getting into massive like brick and mortar beauty retailers. So a lot of people have only ever bought K-beauty products online, never in store. So they don't know what it should look like, and they don't realize that there's anything wrong. And it can even be hard for the people who have had the real product before in their hands, or people who do make the effort to research what the packaging should look like. That's because Korean brands often change their packaging quite frequently, offering loads of limited editions or just redesigning the packaging to look better, or just to be something fresh that might get customers' attention again. So it can be hard for even long-term K-beauty fans to keep up with what the packaging should look like. But there are so many other reasons why K-beauty is such a big target for counterfeiters, but the popularity around K-beauty, the high profit margins, and how easy it is to trick consumers all contribute massively to this problem. And the end result is that counterfeit K-beauty is big business. Aside from the long list of other issues this causes for legitimate K-beauty brands, like being blamed when a consumer reacts badly to a fake product or having to spend resources trying to fight these fakes, it's also estimated that Korean beauty brands experienced around $362 million lost in sales just between the months of January 2025 and May of 2025. That's crazy. Assuming the rate stayed roughly the same for the rest of that year, that would almost be 900 million in lost sales due to counterfeits. Mark Vision, a company that helps businesses protect their brand and stop counterfeit products, claimed that on just the Black Friday weekend last year, they removed over 16,000 fake K-beauty listings from the US marketplace. They also said that while working with another major Korean brand, they conducted a test where they carried out 29 test purchases of the brands on various US marketplaces, and they found that 26 of the products bought turned out to be fakes. Stats like that are scary for any kind of beauty product. Most categories like skincare, makeup, hair care, body care, whatever it is, most of them require the product to come into contact with your skin in some way. And considering that counterfeits aren't regulated, often use cheaper, more potentially irritating or dangerous ingredients, and often aren't made in the same hygienic conditions as real products, that makes the idea of any of these fakes touching your skin actually kind of fucking terrifying. Studies have even found that fake beauty products often contain high level of toxic metals like mercury, lead, arsenic, and beryllium. All of that is bad enough, but the most worrying group of products for me is sunscreens. Buying fake sunscreen isn't the same as buying a fake handbag. It's not just about losing out on money because you got a knockoff, it's about your health. And it's not even the same as buying a fake skincare or makeup product. If a moisturizer is fake, it could be bad, you could develop an allergic reaction to it, you could be exposed to toxic metals, and it could contain rodent urine or horse feces. Those are things that have actually been found in fake beauty products, and there have been so many reports of people experiencing chemical burns, eye infections, swollen lips, and much, much more, all from using fake beauty products. But if a sunscreen is fake, then you might not even notice there's a problem at first. You're probably going to be unknowingly exposing yourself to the sun's UV rays for who knows how long before you find out that it isn't providing adequate protection. It could just be a few hours, but it could also be years. Obviously, this can cause issues like premature skin aging, uneven skin tone, but most of all, as we all know by now, it could potentially cause skin cancer. And unfortunately, reports of fake sunscreens aren't uncommon at all. In just the last few years, we've seen brands like Biore, Beauty of Joseon, Round Lab, La Roche-Posay, Skin 1004, and several more experience moments of virality for their sunscreen products, which was quickly followed by a huge amount of counterfeit versions flooding the market, which was itself followed by a wave of social media posts complaining about the quality of the products or realizing that they bought a fake. Counterfeit sunscreen isn't regulated or tested properly, so you've got no idea what's actually in it and no idea if it's offering the level of SPF it claims to. It's probably not, it's probably just moisturizer. This is of course hugely worrying, particularly because a large percentage of consumers just trust that if they buy something on a website like Amazon, then it must be legitimate. They may be more wary of TikTok Shop, eBay, or some dodgy looking websites that they've never heard of before, but Amazon is trusted by a huge number of people, and counterfeiters are more than willing to take advantage of that trust. Amazon reported back in 2023 that they blocked more than 700,000 attempts by bad actors trying to open new storefronts selling fake products. And they also claim to have seized and disposed of more than 7 million counterfeit products worldwide. That was just all in 2023 alone. And just a couple of years later, those figures had increased dramatically. They didn't specify how many times they blocked bad actors from trying to set up new storefronts this time, but Amazon did report that in 2025, they had seized and disposed of more than 15 million counterfeit products. That's more than double what it was just 2 years ago. A big part of the problem with buying on Amazon that a surprising amount of people don't realize is that Amazon isn't just one store like Sephora or Ulta. It's a marketplace where thousands, probably millions of sellers can set up their own online storefront and multiple sellers can list the exact same products for sale. So just because you see CosRx's Advanced Snail Mucin Essence, for example, and say on there, another hugely counterfeited product, it doesn't necessarily mean you're actually buying it from CosRx. Just a quick search on Amazon will not only show dozens of dupes for COSRX available to buy on the site, but it will also show multiple different third-party sellers claiming to sell the legitimate COSRX snail mucin. But just because they claim it's legitimate doesn't mean it is. Which, who are the largest consumer rights organisation here in the UK, did an investigation recently where they bought 34 cosmetic products from third-party sellers on Amazon, eBay and TikTok Shop and Vinted, and they found that at least 2/3 of the products were likely to be counterfeits. 6 out of 6 products bought on Vinted were judged to be fakes, 5 out of the 6 from TikTok Shop were also counterfeits, as were 8 out of the 11 bought on eBay, and Amazon, although much better than the competitors, still didn't do great, with 4 out of the 11 products bought on the site judged to be fake. That's 36% of cosmetic products bought on Amazon that turned out to be counterfeit. And these aren't products from random small brands nobody has ever heard of, you know. These are big name brands like Charlotte Tilbury, Maybelline, CeraVe and The Ordinary. And another investigation done by the New York Times earlier this year found very, very similar results. They bought 12 different popular beauty products from third-party sellers, again, Amazon, eBay, Shein and Walmart, and they found that 12 products were counterfeits. That included things like Rose Peptide Lip Treatment, which is obviously hugely popular. From that product in particular, they found that despite the packaging looking very, very similar, it had slight differences. Not enough that you notice if you weren't looking for it though. The fake was also slightly bloated when it arrived, which a cosmetic chemist involved in the investigation said was likely a result of bacteria growing inside or from the formula reacting with the packaging. And testing showed that the chemical compositions of the fake and the real formulas had a 20% difference. Another product that they also bought on Amazon, the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, showed a 98% difference in ingredients between the fake and the real version. That's basically a completely different product. Now here's my thinking, and what you're probably thinking too. Surely you just make sure you only buy from the actual brand storefront on Amazon, right? The official COSRX store, the official Charlotte Tilbury store. I don't know if they have an official, let's just say. And that's good advice. But even that might not fully eliminate the risk of you being sent a fake product. Now, this is because Amazon had a bizarre and extremely questionable way of managing their stock and fulfilling orders. For a long time, Amazon did something called commingling inventory, which basically means that a particular product sold by different sellers would all be listed under the same manufacturer barcode, and orders would be fulfilled using whatever stock was closest to the buyer, regardless of whether or not it was originally stock from the actual brand or from a third-party seller. This not only makes it incredibly easy for fake stock to get into Amazon's warehouse, but also means you have no idea if what you're getting is what you actually ordered, even if you order through the official storefront. Amazon doesn't even know what you're getting. So let's use COSRX as an example again, right? Say COSRX themselves gives Amazon 1,000 units of their snail mucin. I know they're obviously stocking much more, but you know, round numbers keep things simple for me. Then say there are 5 third-party sellers listing the same product on Amazon as well, and each of them, who may not have any approved link to COSRX themselves, also gives Amazon 200 units of what may or may not be legitimate versions of the product. You place an order on COSRX's official Amazon storefront, thinking you're definitely going to get the real thing, but what Amazon does is just take a bottle of a snail mucin from whatever warehouse is closest to the buyer, to you, to cut down delivery times. But the COSRX stock in the warehouse closest to you wasn't the stock COSRX provided to Amazon. It was from one of the third-party sellers. So who knows if what you're getting is actually real? Now, to be fair to Amazon, they did announce the end of last year that they would be moving away from this practice, and that new requirements would come into effect on March the 31st, 2026, which would make it so that the stock from the actual brand and from any brand representatives they have an agreement with to sell their products will have a different barcode to anyone else, like third-party sellers with no link to the legitimate brand. It's worth pointing out that they've also said that any existing stock that is mixed up already before the new rules come in will continue to be used following the old rules until it runs out. Depending on the shelf life and the popularity of the product, it could be a while before we can be completely sure that this isn't an issue anymore. But at some point, all existing commingled stock will be used up. I mean, that's a step in the right direction, right? But unfortunately, there are still plenty of other ways that fake products make it onto Amazon. Probably one of the most common ways that counterfeiters are getting their fake products sold through Amazon is by hijacking or piggybacking on other legitimate brand product listings. This is when a third-party seller exploits Amazon's ASIN system to attach their own product to an existing successful product page. This sounds confusing to me, and it is, to be fair, but basically how it works is that Amazon uses an ASIN, which is just a 10-character code to identify specific product pages on their site. They don't organize their marketplace by individual sellers, but by unique products instead. So dodgy sellers who want to trick you into buying their fake products will link their products to an existing, successful, and usually legitimate product page. This means that in Amazon's opinion, multiple sellers are selling the exact same item, supposedly, and when you click on buy now, Amazon just automatically chooses whichever of those sellers they think is the best choice based on things like price, shipping times, shipping costs, customer satisfaction, and all sorts of other things. This probably sounds similar to cumulative commingling, but it's not quite the same. So what can happen is that a legitimate brand can set up the original product page, then a counterfeiter links their own listing to that product page, which means they're claiming that they have the same identical products ready to ship. Then they undercut the original seller's prices because their knockoffs are far cheaper to make, so they can afford to sell them for significantly less. Amazon values competitive pricing, so eventually the counterfeiter becomes the default choice when someone offers that product. They've effectively pushed the original brand off their own listing. So now when people click buy now, they don't even realize that they're ordering from a third-party seller rather than the actual brand they thought they've just bought from. If you're wondering why on earth Amazon allows brands to link a product page that they didn't even set up, who fucking knows? It seems like it would just encourage exactly this kind of exploitation, right? Surely it would be better just to let customers decide which seller they want to buy from based on price, delivery times, reviews, etc. Wouldn't that make it harder for cheap knockoffs to stay in business? Surely. Anyway, you can actually usually spot when this is happening by checking what name is in the sold by section, which is just underneath the buy now button. If it says the name of the actual brand, like CosRX Inc., for example, then you're ordering from the legitimate brand. If it says anything else, then it's a third-party seller. That doesn't necessarily mean it's definitely counterfeit, but it's more likely than it would be if you were buying from the actual brand, you know? In these cases, it's worth clicking on the name of whoever is selling it and going to their storefront, even if it says the official brand name. You can often tell that something feels a little bit off if the brand isn't legitimate. The seller might have a strange or really generic name. The storefront page might look weirdly empty, lacking any real information about the brand. It might say CosRX, for example. You click on it and they're selling hose pipes as well. Or the information given might be poorly worded or just not make much sense at all. It might also have links that just don't work or don't go where you'd expect them to. I'd also look out for like those Temu kind of listings, you know, where there's like 40 words to describe one product. The quality of lookalike product these days is also a big problem. The counterfeit industry has gotten so sophisticated that spotting fakes can be incredibly difficult. Take that New York Times investigation, right, that I mentioned earlier, for example. They shared this graphic in their article. Can you tell which products are the fakes? Some of these counterfeits are so unbelievably convincing, and the differences from the real packaging are often so tiny. Sometimes the packaging is so good that it's impossible to tell if it's a fake, and only the smell or the texture of the product gives it away. Probably the last main issue here is fake reviews. These are a problem on any site, but Amazon, due to its sheer size, seems to have real problem policing reviews on the site. The brand claimed that in 2024 alone, they blocked or removed over 275 million fake reviews. That's an insane number, but that's only what they caught. It's estimated that tens of millions of fake reviews are still going undetected every year. A lot of dodgy sellers on the site will just pay for positive reviews. There are whole businesses called review brokers that offer this service. You pay them and they'll get people to leave you hundreds or even thousands of reviews. A lot of this is organized through social media. Dodgy brands can literally just find a review broker selling fake reviews on places like Facebook. They might pay in cash with gift cards or offer free products in exchange for fake 5-star reviews. Others do the opposite. They'll pay people to leave really negative reviews on their competitors' products. And you can't even just look for verified purchase tag on a review to make sure it's legitimate anymore. A lot of brands will get fake reviewers to buy the product, then they'll refund the purchase afterward. So they'll still get that verified purchase tag. Others will offer gift cards so the fake reviewer isn't using their own money at any point as well. However, some sellers don't even bother paying for reviews though. They've got a different way of scamming the system. Bear with me because this is a little bit complicated. So Amazon lets sellers list variations of the same product, like this lip balm, for example, in blue and a mint flavor, for example, but they're basically the same product. Now, this is only supposed to be allowed if the products aren't fundamentally different, like they aren't just a completely different product or a new model. Again, different flavored lip balms, for example. But that doesn't stop sellers from doing it anyway. Wired magazine has some really good articles about how to stop fake reviews and how to stay safe when buying online. That's actually where I got a lot of this information from. And they explain how this works quite well. They said, let's say a seller has a listing with 4,000 positive reviews and an average of 4.5 stars. They can add other products with far fewer, mostly negative or even no reviews at all as variations. And at first glance, it appears as though they have lots of positive reviews. If you find a listing with multiple variations, you have to scroll down to click see more reviews and then select the all formats drop down to filter the reviews for the specific product you are looking at. It's complicated and it's very, very sneaky, a very sneaky way of making a product look like it's got thousands of great reviews. Basically just lumping it in with another product that people actually like. It's a trick that a lot of people fall for. Most people don't even realize that the reviews are for a completely different product and they don't even know how to filter reviews for the different variations. All of this unfortunately means that consumers can't just assume every item listed on Amazon is authentic. There are so many ways that dodgy sellers will trick you that you can't just trust that because Amazon is a massive and well-known brand with billions and billions of dollars behind it, that everything sold on there is legitimate. So many people are falling victim to counterfeit products on Amazon every single day. In fact, according to a survey by Michigan State University, nearly 7 in 10 consumers have been fooled into buying counterfeit items online. And that was published back in 2023. So it's likely those numbers have gotten even worse since then. So what are Amazon doing about it? Are they doing anything about it? First of all, Amazon's Vine program has been around since 2007. This involves Amazon picking certain people it believes are the most insightful reviewers on the platform. Then they make these reviewers eligible to request free products from thousands of brands in return for honest reviews. These reviewers are encouraged to provide their unbiased opinions, and it often results in more detailed, balanced reviews. It's definitely a positive move, but it's nowhere near enough at all to combat the problem Amazon has with fake reviews. They are obviously fighting this issue in other ways, mostly through using AI to catch fake reviewers before they ever get posted. And Amazon claim that because of their current methods, more than 99% of products on the platform contain only authentic reviews. But studies by independent organizations all say that this just isn't the case, and that anywhere between 11% and 43% of all reviews on the site are still illegitimate. So there's clearly still more work to be done. They've also taken many of those fake review brokers I mentioned earlier to court in order to stop them from selling their fake reviews to dodgy sellers on Amazon. One of the sites, based in Canada, claimed to have over 4,500 Canadian reviewers and 2,500 US reviewers ready to post fake reviews. And another one, being sued by Amazon and the Better Business Bureau, also claimed to have thousands of reviewers available worldwide and offered guaranteed replacements for any reviews that got taken down by Amazon. They have had some success with this tactic as well, with several of their lawsuits against these fake review brokers ending in permanent website shutdowns, domain seizures, and prohibiting the owners of these sites from engaging in similar activities in the future. How effective this actually is at stopping these people is unclear though. They could probably quite easily just set up a new website and start again, I would imagine. they probably would. And it was already illegal, so saying they're prohibited from doing the same thing again probably isn't going to stop them. When it specifically comes to counterfeits though, Amazon has quite a few ways that they're trying to deal with the problem. They have several different tools that Amazon sellers can use to combat counterfeiting, including brand registry, which allows brands to better protect their intellectual property so that they can stop this hijacking problem. As long as a brand has a brand name and logo that's permanently affixed to their products and packaging, and as long as they have a pending or registered trademark for the brand name and logo, then they can sign up for brand registry on Amazon. It finally lets them stop unauthorized sellers who use the same ASIN from changing product descriptions on their pages, and stops them from being able to hijack or piggyback off the product listings. It also uses AI to automatically block counterfeits before they go live on the site. There's also Amazon Transparency, why do I say it like that, which fixes that commingling problem. It allows brands to use unique codes that ensure only authentic, accurate items are being shipped to customers, rather than just getting whatever stock was closest. So it makes it much harder for counterfeiters to get their stock mixed with legitimate stock. And then there's Project Zero, which gives brands access to advanced anti-counterfeiting technology as long as they're already part of brand registry. It lets brands search for counterfeit listings themselves and immediately removes them from Amazon. Obviously, these are checked by Amazon later, and brands have to keep an accuracy rate of 99% in order to keep using the feature. So they can't just go around removing listings from actual legitimate competitors. So to be fair to Amazon, which I don't want to be, they do seem to be trying to combat the counterfeit issue they have on their website, but many believe that what they're doing isn't nearly enough and isn't doing it quick enough. As always, it likely just comes down to money. Amazon seems willing to allow some level of counterfeiting on their site, despite claiming that they have a zero tolerance policy, at least in part because making the necessary changes to police the issue probably would cost them too much money. They make an insane amount of money though. Jeff Bezos is one of the richest men in the world. If they really wanted to fix this problem, they could afford to do it. And I'm not saying it would ever be perfect. Counterfeiters are always going to try and exploit any weaknesses in Amazon's policies and anywhere else online. But it could be much better than it is now, because at the moment, it's way too easy for counterfeiters to take advantage of beauty consumers and the legitimate beauty brands. Probably the best way to avoid being a victim of a fake product scam on Amazon or any other online retailer is to avoid them entirely. Buy directly from the brand's own website if you can, then you know what you're getting is from them and is most definitely going to be legitimate. I know sometimes this isn't always as easy as it sounds, especially when it comes to some of these new supposed KBeauty brands we're seeing going viral on TikTok these days, like Dr. Malaxin, GU toner pads. A lot of the time, brands like this seem to have multiple websites because scammers have set up their own fake versions. And if it's not a brand that you're familiar with, telling which website is the real one can be really difficult. I get that buying directly from the brand isn't always an option though. So if you're buying on Amazon, double check that you're on the brand's actual storefront, not just the one that's made to look like it. Or you might see products that say sold by Amazon.com. It's not as good as buying directly from the brand, but it is less likely that you'll be sent a fake. And if you are, Amazon will be more likely to give you a refund as they take responsibility for the inventory they sell themselves. I would highly recommend going to the actual brand's website and just checking whether they do sell on Amazon, if it's even a verified seller. To be fair, most brands do sell on Amazon these days, either themselves or through an authorized seller, but there are still some that don't sell on Amazon at all, like Rode, for example. So if you see their products being sold there, they definitely aren't real. Another one of the easiest ways to protect yourself from possible scams online is to be wary of bargain prices for products you know usually cost far more. If the price seems too good to be true, it probably is. This doesn't mean you have to avoid every bargain sale you see, but you do need to be more cautious and think about doing some of the other things I'm about to go through. If you can compare packaging with previous purchases that you know are genuine, or if you haven't bought the product from a legitimate source before, look it up online, see what you need to look out for, look at people who've been sent PR from these brands and compare the packaging. Of course, this isn't foolproof because the images they show online of the product might not be what you actually receive, but it can be an easy way way of telling if something's fake before you buy it. You can also do a quick check and see if the brand has any presence anywhere online outside of Amazon. Do they have their own website, or are they listed on any other legitimate retail sites? Does a Google search bring up a bunch of negative reviews for a brand? If they do have their own website, does it feel real? Like, is there contact information that's easy to find? Do they list a physical address? Does the website look professional? And it's a good idea to look out for fake reviews too. If they have an abnormally high percentage of 5-star ratings, like 98 to 99% or something crazy like that, then it's worth looking into it closer, especially if the only other reviews are all really low, like 1 star. People are more likely to leave a review when it's negative, so it makes sense that even if the product is amazing, you're not gonna have an amazing 99% positive review ratio, you know? If a lot of the review titles are really basic and the reviews themselves lack much real detail about the product and just vaguely praise it, then that's suspicious. If a lot of them mention competing brands or products and talk about how this one is much better, that's also suspicious. If the wording in a lot of reviews, especially ones left close together, is very similar, then that's really suspicious too. This obviously isn't a foolproof way of telling if a review is fake or not, obviously, as real reviews will do a lot of these things sometimes, but it's about looking at the bigger picture rather than reading one review that's super basic, but giving 5 stars and automatically assuming it's fake, you know? And that goes for a lot of these tips, to be honest. A lot of the time there won't be one outright glaring thing that a product you're buying online is fake. But if you see a few of those warning signs all together, then you know it's probably best to steer clear and buy from somewhere else. All that's helpful when you're trying to decide whether to buy something in the first place, but there are also some things to check once the products actually arrive. First of all, we come back to packaging. If what you receive doesn't look quite the same as what was listed on the website, warning bells should be going off for you right now. And obviously, if you already have an old jar or bottle, tube, whatever other product that you know is from a legitimate source, then you can compare the two. Look for the packaging or logo being a slightly different color, misspelling on the packaging, ingredient lists that don't match what's being displayed on the company's website, broken safety seals, just anything that doesn't look quite right. A lot of the KBeauty sunscreens now come with like holographic stickers as safety seals. So, you know, for now, until the counterfeiters copy that, that's also a good sign. Once you open it, you also want to think about how does it smell and the texture of the product. Does the real version have a particular scent that you know well and this one doesn't? Does it smell gross, chemically, or moldy? Is the texture different from what you've used before or what it looked like online? A lot of these counterfeiters will add a rose scent or like a very heavily floral perfume scent into products, especially these fake sunscreens. They all have a scent that just doesn't make sense to the brand. All these are possible indicators that you've got a fake. They don't guarantee it. It could just be a bad batch or one that wasn't stored or transported properly, or it could be because it's not the product you thought you were buying. Another thing you could check once the product actually arrives is the batch code. A lot of brands these days have a tool on their website where you can type in the batch code on the product you received and see if it was actually one that they made. They should detail when, where, and in which factory that specific product you're holding was made. If the brand you bought from doesn't have a tool like that, you can compare the batch code with an authentic product of your own, or find what legitimate batch codes for that brand look like online. If the format is wrong, different from what you'd expected in some way, or just not there at all, then there's a very good chance you've got a fake in your hands. The last thing you can do to stay safe when buying cosmetics from online retailers like Amazon is to report any suspected counterfeits to both Amazon or wherever you bought the product from, and to the real brand as well. It may seem like a pain to do or a waste of your time, but not only will you likely get a refund, but also makes a huge difference in a brand's ability to stop counterfeiters and prevent you or anyone else from being tricked again in the future. Whether you like it or not, Amazon has become the go-to place for beauty for millions of people. And until Amazon and the beauty brands themselves do more to prevent counterfeits being sold, the burden falls on consumers to educate themselves on what to look out for and to do their best to avoid wasting their money and risking their health from buying fake products online. I'm hoping this video and some of the advice at the end of the video here can help keep you safe when shopping on Amazon or online in general, whether it's just awareness of just how bad the counterfeiting situation is on Amazon, awareness of how fake sellers are trying to trick you, or awareness of what you can do to avoid falling for it. Hopefully this video can help at least a tiny little bit. But anyway, let me know what you think of today's video. Were you surprised by how common counterfeiting is on Amazon? Have you ever bought fake beauty products on Amazon? I have, on purpose, but I have. Did you know about this commingling thing? Let me know in the comments down below, and hopefully I'll see you next time.